Today we are joined by a rising star in the pop punk, in the very energetic genre. Her name is Taylor Acorn. She will be here in Charlotte on November 14th at Amos Southend. She'll be performing here, promoting her sophomore album, Poster Child. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you?
Doing fine. We're powering through and trying to get through a crazy week, and obviously have so much going on. And for you, last week was such a huge week for you. You performed at the When We Were Young festival. As I
Yes.
mentioned, your album Poster Child came out last week. So,
Mhm.
what are kind of the emotions of everything that came out of what's gone on for you the past few days?
I feel like there's just so much in one setting. It felt like that to process all of the emotions has been really, really tough. But no, When We Were Young was awesome. My family got to come out, and I don't get to see them all that often. So, which actually, my sister lives in Wilmington, so they'll be at the North Carolina show, which will be really cool. But yeah, so like my brother and my sister came out with my brother and my sister-in-law, and yeah, it was really, really fun, and just having them there was amazing, and being able to perform surrounded by so many of my favorite bands and just people that I've looked up to for years and years and years. I'm like literally walking up and seeing the main, and I was like, you guys got me through seventh grade. Like it's just crazy. So it was really awesome. And then of course, yeah, like we had a really busy week last week with promo for the album and stuff, and then that came out, and it seems like there's been a really awesome reaction so far. So I'm so excited. I'm also sorry if you hear a cat in the background. Every time I get on my phone, he tends to want the attention and not me. So, but yeah, no, it's been a really awesome week.
Yeah, no problem with that. I had to block my cat out of the room because otherwise he would be walking over all over everything. So I totally understand.
Well, you'll
Um,
see one of them. They're around.
Great. Well, when we were young, obviously Blink-182, Weezer, Avril Lavigne, Panic at the
Yes.
Disco, so many awesome bands were there. I know
Yes.
you mentioned that those bands got you through seventh grade, but what does it feel like as an artist? You work so hard on your craft for so many years, and then
Mhm.
to be there on the same stage at the same festival as these bands that you looked up to. What does that kind of feel like?
I mean, I feel a lot of the time I'm wondering how I ended up there. Um, and I feel like with the whole trajectory of my career, when I decided to start making pop punk music, I did it solely because I love the genre and I had no idea what was going to happen. I started making covers of just songs by my favorite bands back in like 2020 when COVID hit, to kind of give myself something to do because I feel like a lot of us obviously were stuck inside of our houses. And did you hear that? My cats are fighting. Guys, please not. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's been a really crazy, wild ride, and just being able to be so accepted into a genre that I felt I was such a fan of and still am such a fan of to this day has been a really amazing feeling. Being able to chat with these bands who have been doing it for a really long time and getting to know them and just know that they're so down to earth and they're giving advice. I remember I toured with Dashboard Confessional and Boys Like Girls back in October of last year, and just getting to sit and talk with Chris from Dashboard and kind of learn his story. And obviously I very much still feel like even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm just starting my career over. So he had a lot of really amazing advice, and I don't know, it's been weird, it's been crazy, it's been weird. Still trying to wrap my head around it. A lot of the times I feel like just a fan, and I like don't even have the words. It's been really insane.
Yeah, there's that old saying of "Don't meet your heroes," but it
Yeah.
sounds like it went well for you. So I've been
Yeah.
seeing comments online of people
Mhm.
there of who saw your show at the festival. They'd
Mhm.
never heard of you, and then they show up there and they're just blown away. I saw someone even saying that their their favorite band was Parkway Drive, and
Huh?
they had to choose between them and you, and they chose you, and they were so grateful that they did
No
because
way.
it was such an awesome experience for them. So what's been the response for you ever since from new listeners or maybe people who are already fans of you? What's kind of the response been since the festival?
Um, I think, you know, I think when people hear my music initially, they can think it's one of two things, right? They can think that I am kind of like this girl doing pop music, pop punk music. And, I think for me, the biggest thing that I want to portray is how much I love this genre and how much I've grown over the years. And so I think, a lot of people can perceive my music one way, but I always tell them, please come see us live because my band, myself, like we really try to bring the most energy and have the most fun on stage that we possibly can. And I think over the years that's been something that has really aided me, because the songs might sound a certain way recorded, but there's definitely a cool grittiness to them when it's live. um, and so that's been really cool to hear that and to know that they had a choice between their favorite bands and they chose me. um I know that Mayday Parade, my favorite band, played at the same time that I did at When We Were Young, and I would have chose to go to see them. So I'm very grateful that they chose to stick around and give me a chance. And that's all I could ever ask for. And the fact that people are buying tickets to come to the shows now after seeing me at When We Were Young, it means a lot. And it we just have the most fun on stage and we love doing what we do. And I just really hope that that always shines through first and foremost before anything. And so yeah, it's been really really a cool reaction to see people saying those things. That's really nice.
For sure. And once again, if someone does hear your music and they think, gosh, I really wish I could see your live. Well, guess what? If you live in Charlotte, you have the chance November 14th at Amos Southend, like I said earlier.
Yep.
So yeah, moving off of that,
Mhm.
you just put out your album,
Mhm.
Poster Child. I'm wondering, what are some of your thoughts on that ever since it's come out? It just dropped last week, and what are some of your reflections on that album right now?
Oh gosh. I am extremely happy it's out. I feel like I've been sitting on it for quite some time, just listening to all of the songs. I used to listen to it every day before it came out because I was so excited. And I still have been like playing it on my own and things like that. But it's it's been really cool. This is my very first record I've ever released through a label. I'd been independent my whole career, and so there's always a little bit of nerves in that aspect of like, is it going to do well? How are people going to receive it? Things like that. And so from what I've seen, there's been a really amazing response, and people are calling it a no skip album, which I'm very grateful for that they're listening to the whole thing front to back. Like that is how I like to listen to records, and so that's just a really cool feeling, to see people so excited about it. But obviously, there's going to be the people who are seeing me for the first time and might not necessarily know my story, and so I've kind of had this weird balance of being really really excited, but trying to stay in that headspace and not listen to any of the critics or people that might not have ever known me before any of this. So um, it's been a weird transition, but I'm really excited, and I just love every song on the album. We worked really hard on it. It's the first album that I genuinely feel like I felt the most confident, not only in my writing but in my vocals and my, I am very very involved in production, and this time around I just felt like I could do anything, and it would, we just tried everything and anything. So I am really proud of this record. I really am so excited to be able to play it live. We did rehearsal yesterday, and all of the songs, they just feel like such a moment in themselves. And so I'm really excited to see what people think of that aspect. But yeah, it's been Interesting. I'm still trying to like wrap my head around it. I feel like it's still so new, and I've been trying to go in and see like what songs are people listening to, or like which ones are doing. And it seems like they're all pretty even, which is kind of crazy. So it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned that how much you love playing your music live and how well you think it translates. From this album specifically, do you think
Yeah.
is there a song that is your favorite to play live, and is there a song that you think is your favorite from the studio version?
Um, I, we're about to have a visitor. Hang on. We've got a visitor. This is Oliver. Um, So the one that I'm probably the most excited to play, I mean, I love Poster Child, the title track, and that song, just the studio version and also the live version. There's just something about that song to me that feels so just nostalgic, and it's really fun to play live. And so I'm really, really excited for that one. I'm also very excited for Blood on Your Hands. And we have a show this week. So right before Halloween, it's kind of like spooky and eerie. And I think that one will be really, really awesome to play live. Um, but all of them, I mean, I've been sitting on these songs for a really long time, and I go through phases where, obviously I love my last record that I did, but I've played so many of those songs already that I'm just ready to do something new and to just, you know, curate a set list and um, make it as cool as we possibly can for this new stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that's so
Yeah.
vintage, like musician, like you. I feel like they always say, especially like the older ones from like the 70s or 80s or whenever, like it was about their live show. Like they only
Yeah.
put out an album to promote the fact that they were on tour, right?
Mhm.
And this is what
Yeah.
they were doing on tour, and you could check out this record if you wanted, but the real bread and butter of what they did was when they were live. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you to give a shout out if you want to the musicians in your band because you know as when it's a group you're an artist like yourself and it's very front facing Taylor Acorn.
Mhm.
A lot of people might not think of oh who's the guitarist oh who's the bassist or the drummer. So could you speak a little bit about the musicians in your band?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So Ricky, my guitarist, I actually met him back in, I think it was 2021 on TikTok. At the time I was doing, the stripped down acoustic covers of bands that I love, like Simple Plan, Matchbox 20, like all of that stuff. And a lot of emo bands, Beartooth, all of that. And so, I was kind of just scrolling on TikTok and I came across this guy, and what he was doing was taking pop songs and turning them into a metal guitar cover. And I thought that that was so cool. And so, we got the offer to go on tour with, it was Real Friends, the home team with yeah, and with Confidence back in, I think it was 2021 or 2022. Um, and he was the first person that I thought of. I didn't know if he had ever toured before. Mind you, I was in the country world before, and touring is vastly different in country than it is in this space. But I got the opportunity to hop on this tour, and of course, I wanted to take it because I'm a huge Real Friends fan. And so, having reached out to him, not knowing if he had ever played live before. He was like so on board. And so it's been him and I and my tour manager, Victoria, who's incredible since the beginning, pretty much, of all of this. Um, and we've toured the world together. We've done, we kind of went from 0 to 100. It's actually really funny. The day that I asked him to play with us, he said that he's going to have to sell his When We Were Young tickets because he was going as a fan. He bought tickets. And then fast forward to this year, 5 years later, 4 years later, we get to play it ourselves. So I thought that that was kind of funny, and we were joking about that and like how cool that is, to think, we were going to go as fans, and now we get to go as artists ourselves and get to experience it in that way. So I thought that was really awesome. And he's just so high energy. He's so fun. All of my bandmates and all of my crew are just so personable. And then we met Connor, who is my drummer. Um, And so we actually had another drummer. We were getting ready to leave for my very first headline tour, and uh, last minute some things came up. My drummer had a few personal issues he had to deal with, so we needed a drummer. And obviously I was panicking. I was like, we're going on our first headline tour, and like, I don't even have a drummer, we need to rehearse today and all the things. It was literally the day of rehearsal. And thank God for my partner. He reached out and he was like, anybody know of a drummer around town? And I got connected with Connor. Connor actually had just moved to Nashville like that week. So he hadn't even fully moved into his house or anything. And we reached out to him and he was like, I will try my best to have as much of the set done in 2 hours. He came into rehearsal and just killed it. And then we had another rehearsal the next day before we left for tour. And yeah, he's been with us ever since. So it was so random how it all fit together. But we love each other a lot. They're my best friends. I honestly couldn't imagine if, sometimes people have obligations and things like that. But like, I could not imagine not touring with them. So it's been really, really cool to have such a unit, and people that I love and trust, and that I know that are so passionate about not only like my music, but just making the live show the best that it could possibly be. Like, it's a really collaborative experience for all of us. Like, Ricky builds out all of the tracks. And we kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Connor is really involved, obviously, with all of like the drum solos and drum lines, and so it's been really cool in that way to have a band that even though I am so front facing, we are one, and so it I couldn't have asked for a better situation than that. It's been really cool.
Awesome. It's really cool to
Yeah.
hear how it all comes together.
Yeah.
People have these ideas of rock stars doing all these crazy things, but when you break it down, it's a lot more menial than that and a lot more like
Mhm.
frantic, like, oh my God, we need someone at the last second. And
Yeah.
glad everything was able to come together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so kind of forgot what I was gonna say. Oh,
Oh, you're good.
so as a local person here in Charlotte, I know you mentioned something about Wilmington earlier, but
Yes.
just have to ask, any positive memories from your times on tour of coming to North Carolina or anything about the area in general that you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, fun fact. So I lived in Lynchburg, Virginia for a while. So a lot of shows when I was a little bit younger, like in my early 20s, I would go to out in either Charlotte or Raleigh. So I love both cities a lot. I love North Carolina. I think it's so beautiful. So we always have such a blast whenever we come out there. But the it was really cool. So we were on tour with the Somerset a couple years ago. I think it was back in like 2023, or I think, yeah, 2022 or 2023. We were with the Somerset and we actually played Amos Southend. And then in 2024, I came back as a headliner and we sold it out, which was really, really cool. And I'll always remember that moment. I love that venue. Everybody that works there is so kind, just so cool, and or just there to help. And so that was pretty awesome. And we got to actually experience last year uh, downtown Charlotte, which I was very surprised by. It's such a clean city, and there's a lot of really cool things to do and great places to eat and stuff. So and I think it was during a weekday, but if I'm not mistaken, it was so empty as well. I felt like we had the whole city to ourselves. It was crazy. It was like everybody went to work and then went home, and it was just us out there, and we had our bandwagon parked out. I can't remember what building we were parked out in front of, but we were just walking around, and all of us were like, this is such a cool city. It's so chill. Nashville, where I live, is very chaotic, especially now because there's so many people moving in and coming for bachelorette parties and things like that. And so I was really surprised to see such a big city feel so just calm and clean and nice.
Awesome. Glad to hear
Yeah.
that we gave you a good impression.
Yeah, it was great.
Hope that happens again in November when
Yeah.
you're back. So glad you brought up Nashville. Glad you brought up
Mhm.
country music a little bit. I did want to ask about that. I'd read a little
Yeah.
bit about your beginnings in country music, and I thought, is this some sort of AI trick here? Because you sometimes hear about the rock or the punk person going country, and you wonder what
Yeah.
the heck are they doing? But
Yeah.
you don't hear about it the other way around, so a lot. So I was wondering what got your start in country music, and what made you want to dive into something else.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always grown up listening to rock music. So both of my parents are very much they were into the rock scene. My dad passed away in 2001, but he did instill a lot of his musical likings on me. And I have an older brother who's 6 years older than me. So growing up, he used to listen to a lot of like Disturbed and Metallica and like Fred Durst, like Limp Bizkit and things like that. So I feel like I was always surrounded by music that felt a little bit more heavy. Beastie Boys, Bowling for Soup, like all of that. And so um, I really grew liking to that at an early age. And then when I was in high school and like late middle school is kind of when I started to find the pop punk genre, like A Day to Remember and the Mayday Parade and Every Avenue and bands like that. And it was something that I really loved. And I taught myself how to play guitar when I was 15 through watching YouTube, from listening to a girl. Her name was Katie Groves. Unfortunately, she passed a couple years ago, but became a good friend of mine actually when I did start making country music. But she was very much in the scene at that time, and you know I felt very connected to that music, and so that was kind of what I listened to all throughout high school. I went to a really small high school, so anybody that I was friends with, I would try to put them on to bands. And it's actually really crazy. The other day I got to see the Cab, which was a band that I used to listen to back in high school, and they hadn't been a band for a really long time. They came back and they are phenomenal, like so good live. And so that was a really cool opportunity to be able to see them live for the first time. But, I was primarily doing more pop punk stuff, and that was what I wanted to do and what I wanted to chase. But when I started doing music and focusing on music, I was a sophomore in college, and I started making little YouTube videos, and I was covering anything and everything. Obviously, a lot of people would look at me. I had long blonde hair at the time. I played a guitar, and the first thought was like, "Oh, you're like Taylor Swift." No, I'm not, but sure, and I love her. I think she's awesome. But um, I think that was like the ultimate impression. And, at that time, Taylor Swift had transitioned into pop music. And so when I started doing my YouTube videos and things like that, there was a guy who actually reached out to me who was pretty persistent in me coming to Nashville. He was my age. He wanted to start doing artist development. And, um, at the time I had been writing some music here and there. And so I flew out to Nashville, recorded a couple of those songs, and then the production just ended up being country. And I feel like the way that I write also, it feels very country. It's like just like the program of how I write. It's like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Like I feel like that's a very country way of writing. And so I think after I had put out those few songs that I had started, had a very country production. And I think I was more so convinced that like this is the easiest way to get a start in your career is to go country. And I think I just got really, I don't even want to say I got really in deep with it, but I had released my very first project, which was put in a song, just songs that I had been writing over time. And there are some songs that still feel like there's a song on there that called Same that still feels very reminiscent of like my pop punky and like guys like you, like very pop punky. But I think I was just immature at the time too. Like I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I felt very inclined to do what other people were telling me to do. And so when I moved to Nashville, I started writing for a publishing company out here who is primarily a country writer. So he wrote for like Trace Atkins and oh my gosh, I'm like blanking on country artists. Oh, like Luke Bryan and stuff like that. So my whole life when I moved here was very encrypted in country music because that's what I everybody said that I should be doing, you know. And so I was writing for other country artists. I was writing my own stuff, and I ended up being super super unhappy there. Because there was a situation that had happened where the guy who had signed me to my publishing company got let go. And at that time, you know, I was kind of being pushed as an artist and a writer, is back when publishing companies were starting to kind of pose as a label. Um, I got told that, you know, I'm going to primarily just be a writer. And that's not really what I wanted to do. You know, obviously I love songwriting, but I love writing for my own project. And, you know, I really wanted to be an artist. And so, you know, I had a conversation with them, and thankfully they were able to let me keep all of the songs that I had written while I was there, let me keep all of my project that I had put out. So I owned everything, and I kind of went back to square one after I left that publishing company, went back to working like three jobs. You know, I was working at Texas Roadhouse before I'd moved to Nashville. So I started working at a Texas Roadhouse out here in Nashville, and then was cleaning houses. And then I worked at a wine bar out in this place called Hendersonville. And, you know, I was working those jobs, like little odd end jobs. And obviously, when COVID hit, I think it was very confusing for everyone. Um, I didn't know what I was doing. And at that time, I'd kind of started tinkering with more of a darker sound, not necessarily like pop punk, but it definitely was like more mental health based. I released songs like Therapy and Sinister, which was like very much like more pop rocky based. Um, and I just kind of knew that that was maybe the direction that I wanted to go in, but I had made so many fans in the country space, and I think that was a hard thing to leave behind too, because I didn't know if I left that genre completely, if I would lose everybody that I had, you know, had been so supportive and incredible for me while I was a country artist. And so I was kind of one foot in, one foot out for a long time. And then COVID hit and everything shut down for us. And I don't even really know what sparked it, but I was going through, I was like really bored one day, and I was going through all of my iTunes on my phone. And there was just songs on there that hadn't heard or listened to in years. And it just sparked this like, oh, I'm gonna just start covering songs by like Go Radio and Mayday Parade and things like that. I didn't really know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what was going to happen. But I did know that TikTok was a thing that a lot of artists were using as like a tool and just like a means of having fun during quarantine. So I just started doing the covers and posting them on. And so I started just posting the covers, and it just so happened to perfectly align with all of the Emo's Not Dead stuff. It was totally by accident. And honestly, when I first posted my Jamie All Over cover, I did it as a what if Mayday Parade was country? Like I was just goofing off and did that, and it just blew up. And then from there, every single day I posted a new cover. I was taking requests from people, and then just tried to mix my own music in there that I had been working on and writing. And I just so happened to be really lucky in the sense that people started to gravitate towards that too. So I think it was just a really like harmonious thing. Like I think I've just was doing what I loved, and in that the universe started rewarding me in a really cool way. And now we've been here doing this for, you know, the last 5 years. I think I've posted on TikTok every day for like the last 5 years. So yeah, it's been really awesome to see the growth, and I'm very happy to be in this space and making this music. It's what makes me so happy, and to have not only people from the scene gravitate towards my stuff, but also those fans that listen to my country music are still with me to this day is really cool.
Awesome. It's really cool to hear you kind of summarize that whole thing. It's
Yeah,
such a long process that I think
it's a lot.
that any musician has to go through. So I guess just lastly, what are you hoping for with your music? What I know you just got through two of the biggest steps in your career, right?
Yeah.
The festival and then
Mhm.
your latest album. But any next steps and kind of what is your overall message and hope that you're pushing out with your music?
I mean, I just hope my music finds who it needs to. I write a lot from my own heart and from my own experiences, and a lot of the time, I feel alone. So if I can put my music out there and it helps somebody get through the day, that's all I ever asked for. Like, I started making music because I love it. I started doing this because I love it, and that's really it. And to be able to continue to do that, whether it's on a huge scale or I'm continuing to play small rooms, like just being able to connect with fans and be in this space and to write and to create is all I've ever wanted to do. So that's kind of what I hope that people take away from what I'm doing and my journey. And yeah, I mean, I would love to eventually one day be able to play this album, hopefully in arenas or stadiums. But again, like I'm so happy getting to do what I'm doing now. And I mean, we're living our dream. Myself, Ricky, Connor, like we didn't know that this would ever be something that we would be doing. So just to be able to do it is a gift in itself. So very excited to see everybody on tour. It's been, I feel like it's been a really long time since I've seen everyone, and so just really excited to get back out and have that connection again.
Awesome. Well, Taylor, it was such a pleasure to get to meet you. And anyone out there still tuning into this, I'm on a slightly different camera now, but that's all right. You can check out Taylor, though. She'll be looking as great as she does now and having an awesome time playing her music with her great band. Once again, November 14th here in Charlotte at Amos Southend. Make sure to check it out because if you don't, she'll be at a much bigger venue later and you'll have to pay a lot more for the tickets. So
No.
definitely make sure to check it out. It's on a Friday. She blessed us by coming to us on a Friday, so we're very grateful for that. Taylor, any last thoughts before we part ways for the day?
Man, I mean, just check out Poster Child, and I can't wait to see you guys in North Carolina. I'm excited and feel better.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully I
You're welcome.
look less like a